Sure, you can always shop around for flooring, but in the end, it all leads back to the one place you probably should have started, the experts at Carpet One. Save yourself the time and the hassle and let Carpet One help you find the right product at the right price. Beautifully installed, guaranteed. Come see the One, Carpet One, on the Business Loop in Columbia.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, January 22nd. We're going to talk about something that affects all of us every day, and that's our clean air. I want to introduce you to Mark Walter, who is with us with an organization. Actually, you're Deputy Director of Renew Missouri.
Yes, sir.
Explain what Renew Missouri is.
All right, so Renew Missouri is a nonprofit. It's located here in Columbia, Missouri. We've been in existence for closing in on 10 years now, and what we do is we advocate for clean energy policy, specifically renewable energy and energy efficiency.
Mm-hmm. When we talk about clean energy policies, a lot of time people start getting all concerned that having a clean energy policy is going to cost us a lot of money. We tend to forget that if we have dirty air and we increase our illness, that's costing us a lot of money too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've very quickly summed up the arguments that I deal with almost every day of my life. So yeah, I mean, oftentimes when we're talking about energy policy, it comes down to cost because people pay their electric bills and companies have to pay for electric bills. And so it has a direct correlation to the state's economy and how well people do. So
now, coal is the main product that's used to generate our electricity in Missouri, correct?
Yep. About 83% of Missouri's electricity comes from coal, yes.
What would happen if coal, the use of coal, was reduced to 50% or 40%? How is that going to affect our utility costs?
Well, I think it's important to start that question by asking ourselves, what would happen if we did nothing and kept business as usual? So in Missouri, we have very little coal production, and so we spend about $1.2 billion a year on coal, importing it largely from Wyoming, but from Kentucky and Illinois and other states as well. And that cost has gone up about 20% in the past 5 years. So if we did nothing, we could expect our bills to go up pretty significantly over the long term. Now, as the cost of coal continues to go up and renewable energy has gotten cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and that trend has only increased, it hasn't slowed down, we could anticipate bills to probably to go up, but at a much lower curve than if we were to stay dependent upon coal.
By switching more to renewable energy.
Correct.
Now, when you talk about renewable energy, what are we talking about here?
I specifically am talking mostly about wind and solar. There's other renewable energies that we have worked to advocate for in the past, biomass, but mostly wind and solar. Those are the most cost-effective and easy to deploy technologies that we have at our fingertips.
Wind. Let's start with wind.
Absolutely.
That putting up windmills, can we generate enough electricity here in central Missouri with windmills?
So central Missouri doesn't have the best wind resource in the world, but there are large swaths of northern Missouri on the Iowa border and on the Kansas border that has a really great wind potential, and we just really have underutilized that so far.
So what do? You put up you have a wind farm. Isn't that what they're called, wind farms?
Yes, sir. Yep.
You put up many windmills, you generate electricity, and then you ship this electricity to where it's needed.
Yeah, and we already know how to do that. We do that very well. I mean, the utilities in Missouri routinely bring in power from Kansas and Iowa and wherever they can get it from, cheapest on the market. So we're used to that.
Okay. Now, when you talk about wind power, you have a group of people who are very concerned because of the birds migrating.
Sure.
You end up killing birds with the windmills. They fly into the blades.
Yep.
So how do you address that?
Well, every time anybody wants to build a wind facility, they have to go through a a prolonged permitting process, and they take those things into account. There have been wind farms in Missouri that have been rejected due to bat migration or bird migration, and I think it's important for us to remain sensitive to that topic because we don't want to, rob from Peter to pay Paul.
Exactly. Now, solar power. This is something that many of us can do on our own roof if we have the capital to invest in it.
Yep, absolutely. And oftentimes if you don't have the capital to invest in it, there's a lot of financial products that exist now. And we've been working at Renew Missouri to create more and more opportunities for people who can't necessarily pay $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for a solar system to go solar. I actually come from the solar industry, and I routinely installed solar arrays on customers' houses where they would pay no money up front. It's not a cost prohibitive thing anymore.
Well, so somebody listening and they say, well, I would love to put some solar panels on my house. How do they go about doing this? You're saying with no cost up front at all?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, it's just a financing mechanism. So you'll have companies that will offer lease agreements where they still own the equipment and they'll let you lease it for a monthly payment, not unlike a car. And the energy savings is going to be cheaper than the payment per month. So it's a great deal. It's a great way to go.
How can people find out about this?
Well, I would probably start by going to the Missouri Solar Energy Industry Association's website, mosia.com.
Okay, or just Google Missouri Solar Energy.
Yep, absolutely, yes.
And then you can get all the information you need about this.
Yep, anything you want. And I would, go get a few quotes and see what you can find out.
Do we have enough days with sunshine in the winter to generate electricity to run our house?
In the wintertime, it gets more difficult. And, if we were to just talk about running a household off of solar energy in the first place, you probably want to start with energy efficiency. So energy efficiency is measures that you can do that reduce the energy that you use. Not necessarily conservation, like turning off your lights when you're not in the room, but insulation and installing LED light bulbs instead of incandescents, all those kinds of things. That is the cheapest thing you can do to invest in energy to save money. And Missouri has a lot of potential to increase its energy efficiency opportunity.
If people want to come to your website, Renew Missouri, where do they go?
www.renewmo.org.
And what are they going to find on this website?
They're going to find all kinds of great stuff. You can find opportunities to get involved with clean energy policy. You can find all the history of the policies that Renew Missouri has worked on in the past 8 years, including the Renewable Energy Standard, the Energy Efficiency Investment Act, all kinds of great stuff. So come visit.
Mark Walter, thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure having you here, Renew Missouri. Tomorrow, we've got the Assistance League on and Columbia Housing Authority. Want to remind you, our program directed by Travis McMillan, Reynolds Journalism Institute. Audio is Pat Akers from KBIA. Our floor director is Kevin Casson. And our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. Something you would like to hear or see? I'd love to hear from you. Drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu. Bye-bye.